It's a snow day, bitches. Meaning I'm at home on a Wednesday refining the rough cut of Sexually Frank. I realize we've kind of only been talking about the rough cut screenings and the cinematography of the film, and I kind of just want to go over the general edit. Even though it's a little bit boring, some of you want to edit professionally, and maybe you'll take a look at what we did right, what we did wrong, and become better editors than all of us. Alright, so here's my fancy pants editing setup. The center monitor is where I run Adobe Premiere, and that's the editing program that I cut in. I've got a preview monitor over here to the right, so I can see in semi-full screen what I'm doing. And over here I have a third monitor, which is connected to a little Mac Mini from 2004 that I won in early college, and that just sits there and plays movies while I'm rendering to keep me from being bored. There's the PC. I bought it in 2007, 2006, 2007. It edited Abo the Hue Monkey, and now has edited Sexually Frank. Right above it is that 2004 Mac Mini, and then above that are two external hard drives. The top one is where I sort of work off of the project files, and that's kind of the one that I move around, and to the bottom is just an absolute copy of everything. So it's all backed up and all doubled and safe. Of course, if I was smarter, I wouldn't just have two connected to the same computer running off of one another. The double would be in another building or in a safety deposit box in the event that the house goes up in flames one day. But for right now, both of them are there so that I can actually do those copies and make sure it's getting backed up. When the movie is closer to being done, get it off site and get it safe. In the past, we were able to just kind of back up to the tapes, the very tapes that we shot the movies on, but we didn't shoot this movie on tape. We shot it on the Canon 7D, which shoots on compact flash cards, meaning it's only ever a file. And we had only 3 or 4 cards per camera, so on the day we were shooting, we were dumping off to these hard drives, so you have to have at least one backup. See, this is the way shit used to be back in the good old days. Those are all the tapes for Abo the Hue Monkey and for I Need to Lose 10 Pounds, but no more tapes! So that's more or less what the hard drives look like. You got all the blog footage, the exported scenes, meaning like a full file, one full export of each scene. We've got feedback, headshots and resumes, all the production stills, every project file for every scene, and most importantly, video and audio source, meaning all of the original files that were shot on the camera on the day, raw footage. There is all the raw footage by date. Every time we shot, every time there was a new day, a new folder got created, and in it all went. And then every one of those has both an audio and camera folder. The audio folder has all the audio files because the audio wasn't recorded synced with the camera. It was shot what's called non-sync. Every audio recording has these 4 files, and what you're actually looking at is each input, meaning each mic. But we have to sync those all together and then sync it to the scene, and it's a big pain in the ass. And then camera A and B, so there's both cameras, and each camera has its own set of cards and its own set of files. So like that's what one of the random cards looks like. It just has these H.264 QuickTime files. Final Cut Pro for Apple systems actually requires that you convert them all to something a Final Cut Pro can work with. But one of the benefits of using Adobe Premiere is that it accepts it natively. You can just dump it in your timeline and start editing right then and there. And you can see I have a project file for pretty much every single scene or bundle of scenes if they're really short or close together. As opposed to having one giant project file for the whole movie. I find that kind of unwieldy, more likely to crash, more likely to get corrupted. This kind of farms it out and protects my data a little bit better. When I do want to put it all together into one movie is export each of the projects as one file, put all those files together into one project file, and there we go. So I'm sure that the keen observer noticed in the shooting vlogs that we never slated in, meaning we never took that little clapper like they do in proper movies and click. The point of those is to sync the time that the clapper comes down with the visual so that you can sync the audio later very easily. Clap, there it is, and you know what take it is, right? We didn't do that because I'm lazy. I didn't want to take the time to do it. I didn't have anybody who could kind of write the scenes on the clapper. I just said, fuck it, let's just take the audio that's coming off of the cameras themselves and sync that to John Hunt's microphones. And it more or less worked. If anybody was editing the movie but me, they would throw it back in my face and say, shoot a movie properly, asshole. But isn't that really the benefit of shooting a movie on your own? That you can kind of play by your own rules, right? Awesome. You can see in the timeline here, you'll see the actual edited scene at the very beginning. That's my workspace for editing. the scene itself. But way out here, this big bucket of footage, that is all every single take synced to every single audio take. I waited until I heard myself say action. I synced on the in action. When there are two cameras rolling at the same time, I just layer the second camera on top of the first camera and they share the same audio. Now, there are way easier ways of doing this and way smarter ways of doing this. You can actually divide the timeline into different sequences, so you could have one sequence that just has all the synced takes. There's a reason that they say the editors are insane. It's because we all have our dumbass ways of doing things. Some of them have really smart ways of doing things, which would get them jobs, and some of them are me. And of course you can see up in the bin that there's the audio takes and all the camera takes. Let me just also say that this big fancy 3-monitor setup with the source monitor and all this shit, you don't need any of this. And as a matter of fact, I edited very little of the movie sitting here. This is more just kind of the command center. Go, go, Power Rangers! Of where the movie takes place. I actually just would copy often the footage from one day onto my laptop, right onto the hard drive of my laptop, edit off of that, and then take the little project file and move it back onto this computer and do it that way. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Frankie, I used Adobe Premiere back in 1998 when it worked like shit. Why are you using it now? Well, times have changed. Adobe Premiere CS5 is pretty much Final Cut Pro, except that I can run it on a PC, a cheap-ass PC. But more than that, I can put Premiere projects into Final Cut Pro by exporting a little XML file. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. File, export, Final Cut Pro XML. All I have to do is export that little itty-bitty file, import it into Final Cut Pro on a Macintosh, and this might as well have been edited in Final Cut. You can't do it backwards. You can't put a Final Cut product into Premiere, so that is huge. And it's important because Dan Leach is going to be doing the color correction in Final Cut Pro, or more specifically in Apple Color. That's more or less it. We wrapped 5 months ago. When we were shooting, it was bright and sunny out, and we all had t-shirts on, and now I'm inside in the snow, still editing this damn movie. But we're getting there. You saw how we do it. You know how wrong we do it and how crazy we are. And if you have any other questions on our process, shoot me an email or comment. But I think only like 62 people visit these videos anyway, so it's really just kind of self-indulgent at this point. Bye!